What is going on, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages? Welcome back to the AOA show. I'm your host, as always, Ian, along with the boy Isaiah.
Oh, hi, yo.
And today we're hitting you with Season 3 tier list for Haikyu. This is a shorter one because this really only envelops 2 teams. And honestly, I'm okay with that because we just recorded today the Season 2 tier list. We also recorded our Season 3 review. Now we're going on to this tier list. We are Haikyu'd the hell out today. Couldn't be happier though, because Haikyu is just a great thing to binge and talk about. So anyway, the rules are simple. There are none. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to be just ranking these characters really off subjectivity, so don't take anything too personally or seriously. We're going to try and go off their overall likability and their impact that they had on us specifically within the course of this season specifically. We don't want to go, further into the future or into the past or anything like that if we don't have to pull anything from there. Being that this is just a game, like the whole season is one game, talking about some of maybe the plays and the things they did to help their team win or come out ahead and stuff like that could play a role in this as well as we are ranking them. We have a house rule where at the end we can pick a character that we feel maybe was unjustly put in a spot. We didn't really sit right with us, and we could take them and move them to any spot that we want on this tier list. The second person going just can't mess with the first person's token. They could take another character, do the same thing, or choose to defer or to not do it at all. But yeah, I think that's the long and short of it here. We're going to hop right into it. So, like I said, we got the Karasuno boys, and then we got the relevant players on Shiratorizawa. We don't have all of them because I'm not going to lie, not all of them really did much
at all.
So it felt kind of weird to talk about characters just to slot them in, to put them in D. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there might be just a slot that's empty here. Not many people to go off of. So anyway, first one, Asahi. I guess we're going in. We hit him on the first one the last time, season 2. So initial impressions here, Asahi has been rocking, like his name would imply, a steady A for me. I'm not going to lie. I don't find much difference in this one because there are a couple standout characters on Karasuno's team specifically that we will get to. I do not feel like he was one of them. I feel like he did what he had to do, but this wasn't really about Asahi overcoming the iron wall type thing where he has to blast through the defenses style thing. This was a much more, at least on their offense, analytical style that they had to take, and they had to adopt that approach, which we'll get to later. And Asahi, not that he's not capable of that, but that's not really what we're here for Asahi with. I feel like, because of that, he didn't really rank. I honestly, because this is going to be so cutthroat with these characters, we don't have to put characters in D and C. Like, they're just there for show. But to be fair, I could see him in a B slot because I feel like his relevance beyond just being part of the team was not incredibly there. And correct me if I'm wrong if I'm missing like major moments, but I really can't remember any standout moments with Asahi.
No, I mean, what that does makes sense. I mean, I don't like the words you're saying. It's not praise for Asahi, but I do get it.
This might be the hardest tier list. Yeah. I was telling Isaiah because the last one we had was 33. The first one we had was 26. This is 16, I think. And I'm like, oh, this is great. There's less characters. But then I'm like, wait a minute. That means they're all pretty damn relevant. Yeah. And there are 5 rankings. And we like to generally try and be fair. So it's like kind of tough, when you love all these characters. But I don't know. That's where I am.
B, huh?
Yeah.
It's like 2 below. Okay. I could see a world maybe where Asahi's in B.
Just bite the bullet.
I'm sorry, Asahi.
Unless there's an argument that, to be fair, like I'm willing to go up, but I just don't see.
Because I love him and I want him there.
He's likable. It's fair. Next we have Coach Ukai Jr. Yeah. This is one that I'm in contention with A and S area. Actually, with him this season, I know we were talking about in season 2 tier list how Ukai kind of falls into this weird. It's like a weakness and a strength at the same time when it comes to this, because he's pretty consistent across the board, which is nice because he always ranks high, but that it usually means he can't rank the highest, right? Because there's not much he can do out of the realm of coaching. But I do want to be fair, and I do think that this season, his coaching skills are definitely put to the test, and he comes out on top. And I feel like part of the narrative that they're trying to push in this season is the philosophies of the coaches and the way that they coach. And I feel like put it this way, unless, again, Ukai, we still got season 4, but I have a feeling like if Ukai doesn't hit S this one, he's not going to hit it ever. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just me. He could do it. He could pull some shit out at Nationals, but I feel like this season really highlighted the warring philosophies of coaches. Whereas I feel like, and I could be wrong, we haven't seen season 4 yet at the Nationals here, it'll be obviously need to be a good coach, but I don't know if every team is going to be so focused on these are the coaching styles at war here. I think it's just going to be, the standard stuff we see. So that's my argument for S. I could see any S or A I can see as it, but I would say if I were to give him an S slot, it'd be this one for this season.
That's interesting. I was actually going to say A because I actually feel kind of the opposite, where I feel like his best moments are still yet to come. Like, I feel like he hasn't quite peaked yet. I feel like what he did in season 3 was really good, and I do agree that like season 3 was definitely like there was a heavy emphasis placed on like the philosophy of coaches sort of doing battle. But I do feel like some shit will go down at Nationals, and like it's gonna, because the other thing is Nakuma is going to Nationals, so I kind of feel like there's gonna be some ish with like him and Nakuma's coach, because that'll be, I think, the first time that the whole garbage match that they have is like legitimate. It's not just like a practice match. So I think that might bring something out of the coaches. I don't know. I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't know if I could do S.
I could settle with A. Just know that if he doesn't pull the stops out in season 4, you missed your one shot to put him in S.
You know what? I'm willing to take that chance.
Oh shit!
Because I feel like
that's fair.
I just got a
No,
gut
you could be
feeling.
right. I hope his best moments are yet to come.
I do too.
Yeah,
I really do.
Fair enough. A it is. He's remaining an A for now. All right, next one is Daichi. So on season 2's tier list, we put him in S tier because there was a lot of emphasis on him. And while I do believe there's always a lot of emphasis on captains just in general, I don't feel like it was as pronounced. I feel like the coaches took that spot more so, and their philosophies more than the warring of captains, right? Because Wakatoshi's the captain of the opposing team, and he didn't really seem to have like this rivalry with Daichi so much as maybe like Okaiwa did or something like that. So I don't think he's S this time. Okay. And, I love Daichi, so, putting my bias aside here, I do think that he would probably fall somewhere within the A or B slot. I think he definitely has some moments, though. What's making me inch towards A rather than B, though, is that I do think that he, again, because he has this strength of being the captain and being good at it, that he is an integral piece in having all these strategies come together, right? We have Suki with the big plays, and we have Hinata, and we have this like Noya in the back as the anchor, but he is the one that's, a lot of times gearing them in the fast-paced way of being like, okay, get here now. We're like, Ukai is kind of like, I feel like the coach and the captain is almost like leader to manager, right? Where it's like the leader needs to have this like grand vision of where the team needs to go, and here's the overall strategy. Now the captain needs to be the one to be able to implement it on the fly, in the heat of the game. Yeah, exactly. Because I'm the one that I'm gonna entrust it to you. So I do feel like that is a very important thing, which would maybe inch A. But
yeah, I think I would say A too, because I do agree that Daichi's like the focus is taking a little bit off of him as an individual. Like, he is kind of the one that works with Noya to put up this plan of like where to rearrange our back wall of defense and come up with this iron defense, for lack of a better term, against Wakatoshi. So like he plays a part in that, and that's a pretty integral part to us winning and stopping Wakatoshi's monster spikes. Yeah. So I would go with A.
Okay, A it is. All right, next we have Semi. Which just sounds like a dirty thing, so I'm gonna call him Ida Semi. That's his full name, or Ida. I'm not gonna lie, this was one of the characters where I'm like, okay, we got to include X amount of characters on here, otherwise it's gonna be awkward because it'd be like 2. And because he does actually have dialogue. He does actually have like a monologue at some point, and we get a little bit of insight into what kind of player he wants to be and where he's going in his motivations. That being said, I do feel like he is one of the weaker players, not in his skill necessarily on the team, but just in terms of like how he stands out as a character. He really didn't have too much of an impact on me. He just looked kind of like Gigasuga, you know what I mean, to me, honestly. So, but yeah, so for that, I mean, I would probably put him CD is where I'm floating between.
Yeah, I would honestly say D, just because I feel like the Shiratorizawa team is difficult for me, for anybody basically that's not Tendo, because everybody else kind of ends up walking in Wakatoshi's shadow, and their motivations, like in some way, shape, or form, end up hinging on like, I just want to make sure Wakatoshi gets this, like, the edge, or I want to make sure I can do whatever I can so he can shine. And it's like Tendo seems to be the only one genuinely interested in not just pumping up Wakatoshi. And so especially this guy, I think we'll get to him in a little bit. Kenjoro is like a little, or not Kenjoro, Goshiki is a little bit different, but I emphasis on a little bit. But yeah, this guy, I kind of just feel like he's there.
No, that's fair. All right, D it is. Get wrecked.
Sorry.
No. All right, next one we have Protagonist-kun, followed by other Protagonist-kun. Hinata will go over first. So this is, again, always a tough one because he's a protagonist, so he has an inherent advantage in that he builds a lot of other people up, and that he proves a lot of people wrong, and he does the whole protagonist thing, right? So it's kind of hard to rank him anything below A. I guess that's really the question a lot of times. Does he go S or A, right? Like, did he do enough this season to warrant S, or did he not? And then that just puts him A because you know he did enough to at least do A.
Yeah.
So that's my question. I don't know. I'm kind of torn, again, because he does a lot to kind of... He does what Hinata does best, right? And it's proving people wrong that doubt him, right? Because Wakatoshi is perpetrator number one when it comes to this, and just downright doesn't like him after a while, which is weird. But, and you know, Hinata is there to prove him wrong, and it also is fitting because of the Shiratorizawa's coach has this kind of this bone to pick with Hinata because he is what he could have been potentially. So he exemplifies all that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that just because he exemplifies it, that like Hinata himself did much else besides exist, like do what he always did. Does that make sense? So I don't know if
is this a season where Hinata like scores a point or receives the ball and then like is about to fall out of the court and then like jumps off the wall, remember, and leaps back into the court. You remember that scene? Fucking insane. I don't remember what season it was. I think it's this one.
He's Yoda, bro.
Yeah, he's fucking nuts. Anyway, I'm just remember these scenes where this monkey just fucking runs around the court. No, I do agree though that like Hinata does Hinata things in this season, and it's not necessarily like. Let me put it this way: there are a few characters on Karasuno who, in this season specifically, really stand out, and I feel like had they not been there to do their thing, we would definitively would not have won.
Those are the S.
Yeah, and while I do think there's a fair case to say, well, if Hinata wasn't there, we probably also wouldn't have won. The things that those characters did are traits or techniques or even moments that are exemplified that were not there previously.
Yeah.
Right? So Hinata did what he's always done, and sure, had Hinata not been on this team, we probably also would not have won this match, but Hinata didn't help us win by doing anything new, if that makes sense. And I almost feel weird like making that like a con, like a denoter, because it like, you know, what he does is good and he's good at doing it. But like, you know, again, I'll just get into a little spoiler here. Like there's characters like Noya and Suki who like really come through in pulling together a strategy and techniques and tactics to specifically counteract this team that like had those things not come into play, and had they not also demonstrated the growth in said characters, like I don't think we would have taken this W. And it's like that, at least in the confines of season 3, because we're only talking about this one match, like that to me is S. And it's like, as much, you know, I like I said, and if Hinata's not S, he's A, definitely. So
I'm gonna go A with this one.
Yeah.
I'm biting the bullet. And I'm just gonna
is a package deal here.
Yeah, I think that Kageyama, right? Because there's nothing that Kageyama does beyond Hinata, right? Kind of the same mold, the same once thing. Again, right? It's just a different side of it.
Doing what he do.
So yeah, doing what he do. Next we have Kenjiro. My gut tells me C with him because he's kind of like, we're kind of going up the line with relevance literally in terms of like in terms of Shiratorizawa. We get more dialogue than Ida Semi, but not like, you know, enough. Like, we kind of get his motivation, right? He wants to be this like calm, cool, collected setter. He's going to be middle of the road. He just wants to make sure that Wakatoshi does his thing. Sure, noble in its own right, whatever. But like, you know, I don't know, like not really like this standout character where it's like, I could see a spin-off show of this guy, or like this guy really stuck out to me, but he's not like so like bottom in terms of like virtually no dialogue at all.
Yeah,
where like I don't know if
he did stick out, you know. So it's like I want to give him props for being able to differentiate himself in some way, but I feel like it wasn't enough compared to again someone like Tendo, who is another individual character in his own right.
Yeah, I would go C personally.
Okay, I was gonna say D, but I'll give him a benefit of the doubt here.
Maybe we could take a look over when we have it all there, and then he might. We'll see. We'll see how many people we got to C and D. Yeah. Gotta fill in the slots first, you know. All right, next we have the boy Nishinoya, fan favorite over here. I mean, I do genuinely think we're gonna give him. I think he is S. I think he is one. There are three or four characters that I have arguments for S, and he is one of them. I feel like he is really a integral part of this team, just in general, but in this game specifically, because he is this guardian deity. He cannot break, though, and that's the thing. And this is a game where if he was going to break, it'd probably be this game.
Yeah. And
he shows yet again that he is just this immovable object that even though he almost gets killed by some of Wakatoshi's serves, or rather his spikes in the beginning of the game, and even some at the end, that he's just gonna brush that off. Yeah. He is this like incredibly laser-like focus in mindset, and he is the bedrock for this team in this game, where it's like there's so much riding on him being able to do what he can do and getting used to that he needed to be the direct counter to Wakatoshi in some way, and he does deliver on that. And like literally, we would have got annihilated if it wasn't for having just a homie as our libero. So I do think he is.
And I don't think I think it took a lot for it kind of in a weird way mirrors the date tech situation with Asahi, because I think it takes a lot as a libero to be getting spikes or serves like that and not be able to catch them because they're just so insanely powerful. But like, so I think few other liberos other than Nishinoya would have the resolve to like take those, turn after turn and be like, sorry,
it's disheartening. Yeah.
And he does do that. And like I've said it in our review, but like the journey of watching him go from like, those things are insane to like, doesn't matter, I will get them. Like just, I'll wait for that. Like,
love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely insane.
Yeah. Next one we have is the Jiddler, as we like to call him, or Satori Tendo, Chicken Tendo. A lot of names. He's an odd character. I'm not going to lie, though. I'm going to be real. I want to make the argument for S on this guy, because I actually feel like he's the only member of the Shiratorizawa team that I would consider
I
S.
will say, if you had to pick somebody, that is some.
I
wouldn't
would
say
pick
S,
him.
but I will hear your argument.
I will pick him because I genuinely think that he adds the absolutely necessary spice that we need to this opposing team that makes me want to beat them and not have it like this cardboard cutout. Because I'm not going to lie, dude, a lot of the characters on Shiratorizawa, we just did a review of this, unfortunately fell a little flat for me. They were very one-dimensional. We have Wakatoshi, who we went at length on the fact that we were disappointed at. He's supposed to be propped up as like the eagle, the guy to beat, the one dude. And he's pretty damn cookie cutter, honestly. Throughout it, there's not much to make you want it. Like, it's hard to have any feelings about him, right? At least with Okaiwa, it was like this antagonist, like, I want you to go down. Or you hate him or you love him. Wakatoshi is like very middle of the road with that. And that's not bad, right? The point is he's supposed to be calm, cool, collected. He does what he does. He's a powerhouse in his own right.
Vanilla.
But he's very vanilla. And I feel like sometimes sometimes a protagonist or like a good force can only be as good as the antagonist that they're up against. And like, or rather the show is limited by that, right? You're only as strong as your weakest link. So if your protagonist sucks, even if your antagonist really has to pull the weight, vice versa, but if they're both good, right? And I feel like Tendo actually serves that role better, because I found that in this game, I'm like, I might get bored of this game within 10 episodes, right? And it was very exciting and like down to the wire, but I do genuinely attribute so much of that to Tendo for keeping us on our toes, right? Because the whole philosophy of them is, okay, we're going to do what we do ad nauseum. But Tendo is like, I go off of my gut instinct. I may be a serial killer. I look crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going in this, like, weird mind trap where it's like, you can't get too comfortable, Karasuno, because you're not just going to, like, find a way around us and then we're, like, out like a fish on land. Mm-hmm. He is, like, the genuine antagonist, in my opinion, of this show. Like, this weird Joker-esque character pulling the strings behind, right? Like, on this team. And I don't know. I feel like if anyone were to go S on that team, it would definitely be him. And I do feel like out of the characters who play relevance within this match and season, I actually feel like he's incredibly relevant throughout it. But that's my argument.
That's a pretty good argument. Okay. All right, fuck it.
And I'd be lying if I said he didn't grow on me a little bit.
I definitely like him as a character
like
for sure. That's definitely not for debate. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Oh man.
All right, next up on the list
Mama
is
Suga.
Mama Suga.
Yep.
I kind of want to just do. You know, my gut, my instinct says A. I don't really know why. It's just like put him in A.
I'm going between B and C. Not gonna lie.
Actually, I think B is fair.
Yeah, this is a pretty cutthroat list. We're down to 7 people left. We've already got about half of them up. Like, you know what I mean? If we're slamming him in A, you know what I mean? It seems like he genuinely. I love Mama Suga, but he doesn't do anything this game that's like, again, that he doesn't do normally, and like he's not really standout. And unfortunately, I hate to use this as a leverage point, but he's on the bench. You know what I mean? Which is like, it doesn't undercut his character. Like, he still does great things, but this is like, you kind of had to be there type thing in this game and play it to be like really stand out. Sure. And like, he has his moments because, you know, Kageyama's tired, but like, he doesn't really do anything beyond that. I don't know. I'm like BC area. You know what I mean?
I do. He does come in where like when he comes like so he. I kind of feel like he has the role. And it kind of mirrors Yama in a weird way, where it's like he comes in and sort of refreshes the set here and gets the team sort of like revitalized. But it is, you know, it is fleeting and it is a few turns, obviously, in comparison to the rest of the sets that Kageyama plays and just the focus that Kageyama gets as a setter and as a player. Yeah, I feel like B is fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
All
Suga.
All right. Next we have Tanaka. Yeah. Tanaka gets a couple good scores within this, I'm pretty sure. But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm kind of in the same boat here as the Asahi Suga thing, where I'm like, I'm not sure.
Solid B.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't want to do an injustice to him because he's one of my faves. You know what I mean? Just off likability alone, I want to put him in at least A. But I just can't remember if there's any standout like moments within this season. I mean, it's like Tanaka just comes in. It gets
kind of hard because it's like
clutch.
Yeah, he scores some points and he scores some dope, like, you know, some good solid points. But it's like, then I guess you get into like, okay, if he scored points but didn't have like a, you know, a Tendo level moment, it's like, do those points? Is that not a moment enough? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, is that like, and that's kind of where I'm at, where it's like, I know he scores some solid points, but like, if we're breaking this down to like, who had game, you know, changing or you know, ultra revolutionary moments or revelatory moments, I don't really think Tanaka had anything.
I think B's fair.
Yeah.
B it is.
Up there with the boys.
All right, next we have the Coach Tanji.
Coach Tanji.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be straight with you. I didn't like this nigga. Like, not one bit. It's an old crotchety ass dude. And he's just out here being like, everybody sucks because I sucked. And it's like, dude, eat a banana and go calm down. All right. Clearly your potassium level's low, and that's why you're cranky. Don't be mad because you're not got good shit.
Oh my gosh, bro. You're not fully wrong. You know, I have to admit, like, this wasn't, you know, I wasn't like jumping to be like, this is the guy. So I can see your argument. I was thinking anywhere C, D. I didn't know if D was too harsh because I do feel that he plays an important role, and he definitely subverted my expectations in the sense that I thought he was just going to be blank the entire time. So not necessarily that it's like, oh, he wasn't blank, so that means he's better. Like, you could just be a shitbag and you better off not talking. But, you know, to be fair, there is a lot of, this philosophical thing on the line with his coaching style. We do get a lot of the backstory. We see where that is. So I can see for that alone and his relevance on the season, I could see an argument for C.
All right, let me put it this way. I feel like he reminds me of, this is going to sound crazy, but stick with me. He reminds me of Pain in the sense that he's coming to the table here up against Hinata, and I guess, subsequently Coach Ukai, with a different philosophy. One that I quite frankly feel is a little incorrect. And if we're taking this and we're judging it against like the Naruto Pain fight, where it's like they're both fighting physically, but there's a philosophical thing at debate here. Pain was wrong in his mindset, but that dude was fire. Like, he looked dope. He had dope ass attacks. He had some of the best fucking one-liners in the entire anime. Like, this world shall know pain. And he was dope. He was so cool. Yeah, he was, mentally and philosophically incorrect in the way he viewed the world and everyone who lived in it, but he was fire. This dude is wrong, and he looks like an old shoe. I'm just like, he's got nothing. So it makes me want to put him in D, because I'm like, what are you doing here?
You know what? You are absolutely right. Pain is a Chad, and that does put him notches higher just because of it. If I can put him in D. Get wrecked, nerd. Can't wait for the one person to be like, that's my favorite character. And I can't believe you just did him.
Just disrespecting you like that.
All right, Suki.
This is my other S argument.
Suki, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
This is the exponential thing we were talking about. Yep. Season 1, he's in D. Season 2, we put him in B. He had his moment, and I can't lie. Season 3, dude, this is his season. Yeah. Like, legit. He is the protagonist on Karasuno. Dude, even Coach
Ukai says it. He's like, dude, no matter what anyone says, you were the MVP.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, I agree.
This is such a growing moment, physically, mentally, for Suki. We got to see how much better he is as a player, and just how good he always was, right? Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Suki was always good. He just was like, I don't care, right? He really puts it all on the line, and it's cool to see him actually give a damn now. Yeah. And the way he gives a damn is that he's not like this like loud, exuberant thing. It's like this cool, calculated chess move. Yeah. I'm going to see 5 levels ahead of you. You're playing checkers. I'm playing chess.
Exactly.
And he's able to use that to full effect. And so, it's so useful during this game to get around Wakatoshi
100%.
And stop some of his crucial spikes in those moments where he has that block is awesome. Ugh. And where he he sets up all these moves and being able to kind of get under the skin of who, in my opinion, is the main antagonist, being Tendo. Because Tendo, as the Jiddler here,
he's a natural counter.
Can't, he's 2 supervillains in one, and he can't crack this dude. You know what I mean? He can't figure him out. Because Suki is like, I'm not a hero, but I just don't give a shit. You know what I mean? He's like, wow, I don't like you at all. And it's kind of hilarious to see that dynamic play out.
100%.
But Suki really makes leaps and bounds. And just the moment alone, dude, where he finally, he blocks it, I think, and he just lets out this roar that we had never seen out of him, gave me goosebumps, riddled my whole body with goosebumps. I was like, that is what I was waiting for with this freaking character. And
even to get on like the technical thing for a little bit, like there's the moment that I remember where Wakatoshi is going to do a spike, and he blocks the spike, and it ends up falling on their side, Karasuno. So Karasuno still loses the point. But the whole point, the objective of what Suki was doing was basically proving that for a split second, he could put enough doubt in Wakatoshi that he wouldn't be able to make that spike. And it's like, that's Suki's play. It's not like, I have this iron defense that will stop you. It's like, I know how you think, and I know how you think so much that all I have to do is like slowly but surely inch my way into your head until I figured you out, and I know what you're going to do before you do it. And then it gets them off their balance and off their... It's like, that level of analytical thinking is insane. And it's insane that he can do that. Again, this is something that's always played up in anime, like, Suki's talking about what he's going to do, but this shit's happening in the blink of an eye. In split seconds, he's getting to make these calls, and it was
we forget that anime time moves much at a different
slower,
rate than normal time. Yeah. So it's pretty impressive. And I do have to just throw this out here. Suki as well, it was very refreshing that it's like, sure, he has his personality, here's who he is. But listen, I didn't see a lot of his sassy, ridiculous, petty bullshit this season. I'm going to just come out and say it. You know what I mean? Like, season 2, some of the reason why he didn't get higher than B is because, he had that turnaround. but he was still telling Yama to shut up every 2 seconds and just being kind of annoying and like getting under people's skin.
When Yama comes up to serve and he's like, Yama, give him a good serve.
That's what I mean. Like that for me was really what puts him in S, because all the play aside, he genuinely was like, he didn't have to be on that beat. Exactly. And he finally gave Yama that due where it was like, you know, he gave him that confidence he needed. And it wasn't in this like underhanded bullshit way. You knew it was genuinely passionate from the heart, where it's like, I want you to succeed, you know? And that for me was what I wanted from Suki all along, is to treat others like that, because I even said this. I said that so much in season 2. I was like, okay, that's his individual turnaround. Now, how does that get projected, right? Sure. And I feel like this season, finally, he's still standoffish, he's still cold, but he didn't go out of his way to be a dick, and that's all I need. You could be cool, calm, do it in your corner, help the team. Don't be an outward a-hole about it, and he wasn't. And it was just awesome to see. I really loved him this season. I love his play style. It's really cool to see it all come together, 100%. And where he like whittles you down. Yeah. It's really sweet to see. So definitely deserving the best.
Very, very.
This was his season.
All right, next we have Goshiki.
Yes,
who I think is I actually think is the most standout character in
for Shiratorizawa?
Yeah, other than Tendo.
Yeah.
Like, I actually think he stands above Wakatoshi in terms of character.
Really?
Because I think while he has this clear thing where he's like, oh, I look up to Wakatoshi and I'm going to be, you know, the next, like, you know, big ace for Shiratorizawa. Like, while his skill obviously is not up to par with Wakatoshi, I don't know. I feel like if you ask me to, like, I'm probably going to remember Goshiki longer than I remember Wakatoshi.
Really?
And it's because Wakatoshi, in my mind, the only thing that I identify Wakatoshi with is his skill. Like, his character to me is so bland that it kind of blends in with insert generic antagonist, where it's like Goshiki, I'm always going to be like, oh yeah, there was that one, like, it's kind of funny because it's kind of the thing that people do with Hinata, where I'm like, oh yeah, there was that one guy on the team who was like really gunning for it. Like, I know he really wanted to be the ace, and I know he genuinely gave a damn. I know that like next year come around, that dude's gonna be on top. He's gonna be their next ace because I can see that he wants it. Where it's like, this dude, I know he's incredibly gifted. He's incredibly talented. I know this match, to be honest, whether he wins or loses, really just means that this high school team doesn't get to go to the nationals, but that dude's going to the nationals eventually. He's going to be a fucking pro. He's going to play fine. And if you ask me to point out one thing about his personality, I'd be like, he's alive. Like, I don't, like, it's just so bland in comparison. You have people like Tendo, who I agree really sticks out. And I think Goshiki comes in second in terms of like having enough of an identifiable personality that I'm like, okay, I see you. I see you.
All right. I don't want to say I disagree, because it's not, I don't disagree per se, but maybe I just don't feel as strongly is the right word. Where I definitely see, I was floating him around B material, and then Wakatoshi around A. That's where I was in it, because I do genuinely feel like Wakatoshi, for me personally, was more of a standout. Just because of all the hype that we got. And then even though his personality didn't live up to what I wanted it to be, he still was an overwhelming presence within the season. You know, so I think that in and of itself is enough to kind of put him over the edge for me. I do feel like Goshiki, though, to address, you know, what you were saying about, I feel like Wakatoshi fits into the bland antagonist. I actually thought that Goshiki fits into the cookie cutter protagonist, where there wasn't really anything stand out with Goshiki that I found besides he just wants it, and when he gets validation from Wakatoshi, that's enough to spur him on, to keep him going. Okay. And I've said it before, I could see like an alternate spin-off where he's the protagonist type thing, like he's on that Hinata beat. But I did feel like it was very standard. We didn't really get any introspection into his character, really much of a backstory into like why he has what he has, besides he just wants to be better, he wants to be the ace. It kind of went skin deep with his personality and like what he was doing, and for me that didn't really elevate him to like A. And I think that, you know, I think the fact that Wakatoshi got a bit of a backstory to it and kind of gave you a little bit more enlightenment to what his character stands for and is about, even though I didn't think they executed perfectly, for me puts it a little bit over, because I just feel like, again, I feel like Goshiki cuts skin deep. I feel like he's likable and he does what he does well, and I'm really excited to see where he goes. But I feel like it's right now, I didn't really get enough besides, oh, that kid's got heart, you know? Like that's where I am with it, personally.
Okay. All right, sorry, bro. I tried to fight for you. I say I never did nothing for you.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I've said my piece. I think that Wakatoshi is A in here. I don't think he is that. I don't think he's bland to the point where he's just like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like he's on screen, it's just like, get him off. Like I like the character. I think that the show and the writing went in an interesting way because I feel like they were trying to make him into two different things at the same time. Like there was some conflicting parts of his personality with his disdain for Hinata seemed a little unwarranted given what we had seen previously with his character. So it was like kind of this weird reverse Uno card there. But I do feel like, you know, obviously his skill alone is something that's just insane. He's probably the most skilled player, I would, at this point in the story, out of anyone that we've seen, which is definitely something to not scoff at. I do like this element of him being a lefty, so it kind of does that. And I like, again, I think what puts him into the A material is that while he was pretty bland in terms of, you know, just his, you know, demeanor, we did get the backstory and we did see his upbringing and that, you know, despite whatever odds were thrown against him, that he had those people in his corner and he was able to work his ass off and make it work despite the fact that, you know, apparently being a lefty is not where you want to be either in Japan or in volleyball or whatever the case was. Still never got that really settled. But yeah, I do feel like, you know, all things considered, we got to see who he was, I guess, fleshed out.
All right. Let me
Sure.
let me do this real quick.
Yeah. Shoot.
So if we skip over for just a half beat to Yama.
Okay.
My vote for putting Yama is an S.
Really?
Yeah, I could see an argument for A, but I do really think that Yama stood out in this match. Or actually, you know what?
Are you thinking of season 2?
I think it's season 3.
Maybe I'm drawing a blank.
Just because, like, a lot of what season 2 shows and implies in Yama is, like, fully realized and, like, showcased effectively in season 3 in this match. And a lot of that, like, oh, I have this and I'll be able to do this, like, I mean, Yama is one of the people who scores the most points consecutively for the team. I don't remember what set it is in. It's in one of the sets, but, like, Yama, the sort of, again, sort of in the vein of like someone like Suki, the slow buildup that we've seen Yama's journey go through in terms of, like, you know, from anxiety-ridden player who, you know, can't even think of serving the ball to, you know, gaining enough of the confidence to be this pinch server to this game where he's filling his role effectively and consistently. And I think that for a character like Yama, who couldn't even fathom being on the court, you know, ergo 2 seasons ago, is a lot of growth and significant growth.
Wow, who would have thought it came down to Yama like that? I don't know if I'm just drawing a blank, but I'm not, like, I think of these S characters here. We got Noya, Jidler, Suki. Like, those are characters that are, like, super standout, right? For the reasons that we explained. Like, bedrock of their teams and bedrock of the season, right? And progressing the story and making us feel excited, etc. I don't see Yama as that. I genuinely, I was around the BC mark, to be honest with you. And so I'm even hard pressed at A, but I don't know if I could concede S. I feel like S is saying, like, I can't think of anything that's really stand out besides that Yama is doing what he's supposed to do, to be honest. And that's not to discount him because he's come a long way, right? That's not to be like, okay, do your job and, like, I'm going to discount everything you did before. It's a big come up. But I feel like a lot of the backstory and the stuff like that we get, a lot of that comes to fruition at the end of season 2. And there's a little bit left to be like, okay, I can improve and whatever. But I didn't see any really like huge character growth moments besides the fact that it's like, okay, I'm not hitting the net. Like, I'm coming together, I'm being confident, I'm doing what I'm doing, which is a big deal. But I don't know if that alone warrants as high as it goes. Like, I feel like at this point, Yama's just doing what he was supposed to do from the start. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's where I see him.
So you're saying B?
It's a tough one. B was my go-to for him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're saying B for Yama.
Yeah.
And then what did you say for him?
A. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. First off, is there any tokenage that you'd like to use?
I feel like we're bartering, and this is funny. I feel like I don't want to go first because then I'm going to pick someone. You're just going to snag the other with someone else. If I was being genuine and I felt like this was the list here and I felt like somebody maybe deserves higher or lower, if I'm being completely honest, I'm pretty good with this list, but if I wanted to throw a token out there, it would be just giving the old man a little bit of credit and putting him in C. You know, that's a pretty shitty use of a token.
Giving who?
The old guy, the old coach, like putting him in C, but I don't know if I'd blow a token on that. I don't know. I'm gonna defer. Defer to you. What do you got? And then I don't know.
I have to. If I'm being honest, it just doesn't sit right with me. Having I want to move Wakatoshi to B.
What?
I can't. It
He's
does
not
not
that
sit
bad.
It really is.
Dude, no way.
I can't, because in my mind, my only thing with him is I'm like, oh, we got a backstory with him, and we saw that, like, we know what he's about. But I'm like, that wasn't enough for me. You know, I think that what he was built up to be, and sure, what he actually was disappointing from what he was built up to be. But what we got, like, even I feel like if his saving grace is that, you know, let's say compared to somebody like Goshiki, is that like, oh, well, we got a backstory. I'm like, yeah, but that backstory wasn't making me like giving me goosebumps or making me like do like leaps and bounds of like, oh shit, this guy is something else.
Bro, he's half the OP.
But my point is that he's a disappointing character to me. I'm not saying like, I'm not wrong for not liking this character because he's in all the advertisements. I'm saying the advertisements fucked up. They did wrong. They should have put Tendo in the OP.
I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the characters, like it always comes back to him. You know what I mean? In some way. So I guess it just doesn't sit right when I see some of the characters that are already at B. Like if there was a B+, let's put it that way, I'd be willing to maybe concede a B+, right? Because it's like...
But this is my thing, is that I feel like his character is being given more credit than it deserves. Like, I feel like if he wasn't in the OPs, if he wasn't advertised and hyped up to be the shit, and you just got this character who was really strong, but, like, has a backstory of, like, his not his parents, but, like, his relatives told him he couldn't play volleyball because he's left-handed, and, like, his philosophy was just that, like, gotta be strong to play volleyball. And there was none of that external stuff and advertisement attached to him, you wouldn't recognize him. He would not stand out amongst any of the other characters in A, like your Hinatas, your Kageyamas, your Daichis. I don't think he would. I think purely, to be honest, a lot of, in a weird sense, like similar to Okaiwa, is like a lot of the hype that he got is what like puts him up where he is why people like, I mean, like, he's strong. I don't want to discount his strength as in his skill as a player. But I think as a character and in terms of likability, if he wasn't the focal point, I wouldn't even bat an eye at him.
All right, let's do this because we have enough character. We have a minimal amount of characters here because we forgot to do this with season 2 tier list. It just clicked now. What if we rank them within their tiers? And I'll be willing to put him at the top of B. I think that's fair.
I feel like you're like, I gotta give him something.
I don't know. It's just like, I don't know.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay.
If I can put Yama like as second best in B, like right next to him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah. I can deal with that. Yeah.
So then,
sure.
should we go through and like if
real quick, if we just rapid fire. If you disagree, I'm just gonna say what I do. I think it goes Suki, Noya, Jidler.
I agree with that.
I think for this it goes Hinata, Kageyama, Coach Ukai, Daichi.
Yeah, okay. I see
something like that. B that I feel like Tanaka goes over Asahi, but Asahi goes over Suga. But then I actually feel like that Goshiki goes over all of them. So I think he goes in front of Tanaka personally. Yeah. I would even say in front of Yama, but we made the agreement on that one. So that's.
And then you keep all this the same?
I would put Old Bastard at bottom C personally. That's where I would be, but
at bottom C, you move him up a whole tier?
I move him to C, but below that kid.
Right, but okay, well. All right, listen here.
What, top of D?
I'm saying bottom D. I'll tell you, bro, he's pain, but with no sauce. I can't do it. He's like, I hate the world, and he looks gross.
All right, based on pure subjectivity, because we don't like him, we'll just put him at the bottom. That's it. All right, how do we? That's fine. I'm not gonna die on the hill for him. I was just saying, I was gonna give the Old Bastard some coin over here.
The only, that's fine.
I think it's pretty good.
Fuck with that.
Yeah. This is pretty good. Okay, that was a tough one. I actually really enjoyed the fact that it was short and sweet, but it was kind of tough to rank because all of these characters, obviously, well, most of them play a pretty prominent role in this season. So it's tough to rank. So I'm pretty happy with where this ended up. And subscribe to the channel, hit that bell if you are new or if you haven't already, and comment your thoughts down below. What did you think of our tier list? Do you agree with the slots that we did? If you didn't, what's your argument for putting somebody higher or lower? I am curious to know that. It won't change, so just don't think that we're going to go back and change it once you comment. But I am curious to hear your argument as to why you think a character belongs where they do. It's pretty interesting. Also, make sure you guys are referring down in our description if you want to get some sweet links down there. We got our Discord if you want to talk anime, talk Haikyu, talk to us. And it's the best way to get direct updates with the channels and what's going on, what's new, etc. So definitely want to join that Discord, totally free. Also, hit us up on the AOA Reacts channel. Link is in the description as well. Subscribe there so you can catch all of our live reactions to Haikyu among the other shows that we are covering. At the time of recording now, we're covering things like Hunter x Hunter. We're covering Mushoku. Damn it. I can never pronounce that one. Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. My Hero will probably be picking up again soon. And, among others. So you definitely don't want to miss that. Also, hit us up on our Patreon if you want exclusive benefits to the show while supporting us, namely early access to our Haikyu live reactions in a more unedited, unfiltered format. And you get the other live reactions like that as well. But you got to hit us up on Patreon to do it. We've got our social links down there. We got all those sorts of links. Go take it, give it a browse, check it out. Definitely don't want to miss it. And check out our videos that we've done on Haikyu on the AOA Show channel here. Our Season 3 review, our Season 2 tier list and review, and our Season 1 tier list and review. And stay tuned for our Season 4 tier list and review. But until next time, folks, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you on the flip. Peace.
Ninjas and samurais, blazing the kunais. Find me in the leaf of the cloud, screaming out Bankai. We just some ghouls though, who like seeing parts fly. They like what you saying, Goma got more through the storylines. I tested your neck from the start, my hunters gon' come for your heart. I promise you'll land in my boulevard, left them in one piece, no